Hello and welcome to Rocket Fuel, your daily update of everything that's happening in the Rocket Pool community. My name is Wack. Today is February 21st and today's episode is going to start and talk a lot about actually the bybit hack. That's big news today. Other than that, we're going to talk about new version of the smart node, and Spartan's got a few suggestions, and we're also going to be talking about a Coinbase lawsuit with the SEC and the huge development there. So let's get started.
10, 9, ignition sequence start, 6.
Okay, so at 10:32 a.m. here on the Rocket Pool Discord, Mav said bybit hack ? And people had already started seeing it. I guess the news broke a few minutes before that. It looked like there was money moving around that shouldn't have been moving around. Let's have a look here. Arkham were the first people to get that report out. Well, one of the first people to get the report out. And what they said was that $1 billion plus of outflows from bybit, and that's $1.4 billion in ETH and ST ETH outflows from bybit. The funds have begun to move to new addresses where they're being sold. So far, $200 million of ST ETH has been sold. And then if you have a look at the link over here, actually, let me just do that. Right, and you can see here that this is the address here, and it has 15,000 ETH. So yeah, I haven't dug around it too much, but one of the wallets here is some really random ETFs. But this, look, Etherscan's got this warning. It says the reports that this address was used in an exploit on bybit. Please exercise caution when interacting with it. And that was reported by ZachXBT. And people have started putting tokens in there, random tokens, and just random stuff. So it looks like there's stuff going on. I haven't had too much of a look at what is going on here. Just been looking at different reports. This is ETH going out to these different wallets you can see over here. So it looks like this was the main wallet that all the crypto came into. And then from here, there was ETH going out. So these are chunks of 10,000 ETH going to different wallets, and they're just holding the ETH now. So it was around 500,000 ETH in total, which makes the bybit hacker one of the biggest holders of ETH in the world. I think it's number 15 or something like that, bigger than Fidelity, bigger than the Ethereum Foundation, and just holding all that ETH. Maybe that is the wrong token, actually. Yeah, that's the ERC20. So yeah, I'm not sure of the full details, but it looks like there's been stuff moving around. So yeah, crypto coming in, crypto going out, a whole lot of messy stuff happening here. It only broke a few hours ago, so I'm not fully on top of everything. But let's find out what the stories are saying, okay? So here, this is Ben from bybit. And this is at 10:44 a.m. This is the first official statement saying, bybit ETH multisig cold wallet just made a transfer to our warm wallet about 1 hour ago. It appears that this specific transaction was musked. All the signers saw the musked user interface, which showed the correct address, and the URL was from safe. However, the signing message was to change the smart contract logic of our ETH cold wallet. This resulted, the hacker took control of the specific ETH cold wallet, and we signed and transferred all the ETH in the cold wallet to this unidentified address. Please rest assured that all other cold wallets are secure. All withdrawals are normal. I'll keep you guys posted as more information develops. If any team can help us track the stolen funds, it would be appreciated. And there's a link. And then there was another update here saying that bybit hot wallet, warm wallet, and all of the cold wallets are fine. The only cold wallet that was hacked was the ETH cold wallet. All withdrawals are normal. So I think what happened here is that, actually, let me just read the tweets and then I'll give you my opinion after that. So then a little while later, Ben came out again and said that bybit is solvent. Even if this hack is not recovered, all of the client's assets are one-to-one backed. We can recover the loss. So that was the clear information there that this was that we're going to be okay. And they had a live stream where Ben talked for a while about what was going on, and then they're going to have another live stream later on today. Actually, I guess they've had they had another live stream as well where they gave some information, updated information about what was going on. And I guess this this broadcast that you can see in the description is the place to go if you want to get an update of everything that's going on with the hack and where Bybit stand with this. Now, here, Saigar had an idea of what was going on. He says basically the hacker was able to attack each signer's device to make the multi-sig user interface show something different from what was actually signed. That's how they got the multi-sig to sign away the funds. That's crazy stuff. And then Saigar says, I don't know how they knew the multi-sig signers, but this type of attack has happened in the past. It requires identifying each signer and then getting them to unknowingly install malware so their multi-sig user interface is compromised. So this is actually really, really complicated. And a lot of people are saying that it's so complicated to do something like this that it's so complicated to do something like this. It might be that either one of the multi-sig signers put in the wrong transaction and no one checked. So, signer number one, the person who created the transaction made a mistake, whether the computer was compromised, whether they, had some kind of virus or, some kind of malware installed, or whether it was theft. And then they depended on the rest of the signers not doing their due diligence and checking what was going on. There's a whole lot of theories going around. Like right now, I'm obviously not accusing anyone of anything, but having multiple accounts, computers hacked and compromised in this very specific way seems quite implausible. Like, first of all, knowing who the signers are, after that, getting them all to install the malware, and after that, doing this is just, I think it's quite unlikely in some ways, but yeah, I don't know. Anyway, then the question becomes, right, like what happens now? Like, so what happened is $1.5 billion worth of ETH went missing. That was about 500,000 ETH. So what's going to happen to the users? So they're saying that they're solvent. They're saying that they will get the money back to the people whose ETH is supposed to be on Bybit. Now, where is that going to come from? There was ideas going around that people were going to, they're going to go buy it. Like, if they've got the cash reserves, they'll go and buy the ETH and give it back to their customers, which could be bullish, strangely enough. And that's because if you have $1.5 billion sitting around in your wallets, $1.5 billion worth of ETH, there's not all that much you can do with it because there'll be no exchange that could accept that kind of volume would touch that account. They will, if you deposit any ETH into any centralized exchange from one of those tainted wallets, you're going to get frozen right away. So that's not going to happen. Any of the non-KYC, non-compliant exchanges, they're not big enough to be able to launder that amount of cash. If you put in something like Tornado Cash, there won't be much way of getting that money out enough. 500,000 ETH, even if you're matching it like doing 10 ETH a day or something like that, like taking that out every day to a brand new wallet every time, that would take you years in order to launder all that money. And even then, people would be very, very suspicious of how it's all working out. So there are a lot of these question marks basically about what the person would do. Anyway, when it comes to ETH and what they're going to do with giving it back, there was the idea going around that they're going to have to buy it on the secondary market on the market to buy the ETH and then give it back to their customers. Well, here, LoopFi shared the quote from the video saying, we are currently not buying it back. We are getting a bridge loan from partners and we've already got 80% of it covered. So at the moment in time, they're not buying ETH, but it looks like eventually they will have to buy ETH or, do something to get the ETH back to either their loan, repay their loan, or back to their customers in one way or another. So that's really, really interesting to see what's going to happen there. Here, Lix had an idea of what can this person do, right? If they have stolen so much money, there's no way to get it out. They have this idea. He says, let's imagine you're the Bybit hackers. You stole $1.46 billion. Now, what do you actually do? Almost every transaction will be traced. Every KYC exchange will report you, but at least you have $1.5 billion, right? So here people had the crime season's advice saying Eva says Tornado Cash in small amounts over several months. Centralized exchange is in on it with you. They'll process your transfers and go to jail. Or TBC says buy assets with legit wallets. Use the money to pump them. Use the stolen funds as exit liquidity. Use mixers, CoinJoin, etc. be laundering money for the rest of his life, can't make a single mistake. So I think that is quite interesting. Here, Spot on Chain says if we were them, we would make long ETH right now and then burn the hacked tokens and then make the ETH price rocket as the supply will be reduced, and Bybit would need to buy back those ETH to return to users. Yeah, and then the idea basically, like, let's just put it in rocket pool terms, right? And you can't do this with RPL, but you basically go to Binance on a legit wallet, a legit account, and you open the 10 times long on RPL. Then you start buying RPL with these stolen funds and drive the price up to hundreds, thousands of dollars potentially, like, because there's just no liquidity. And then you've got that 10x open on your legit wallet. Then you can take out millions of dollars potentially, something like that. You wouldn't just do it with RPL, of course. You would go to you'd go to all other tokens like that are out there, like whatever token you see that gives you the option of getting those kind of longs. You manipulate the market in order to do that. Now, a lot of these front ends might be permissioned, but the back ends are permissionless. So if you go to Uniswap and if you're interacting with the contracts directly, there's no way that they can stop you from interacting with those pools. So you could literally put millions of dollars of ETH into any small cap crypto, medium cap crypto that lets you leverage long, on exchanges or on the open market, and you can make money. Now with ETH, for example, like, you could go to any service that lets you long ETH, like Hyperliquid, for example, or GMX or others. I'm not sure. I don't really do this kind of stuff, but you would, open 100 times long. And as soon as you open the 100 times long, you send 10,000 ETH to the Burn wallet, and then you keep your long open and you just keep doing that. You keep sending 10,000 ETH like every few minutes, and as you go through the 500,000 ETH, that should technically drive the price up because ETH supply is going down, and you might be able to get some millions of dollars out of that. So the way that you could get $1.5 billion is pretty much non-existent, right? Like, it's very, very, very difficult if you are not looking at doing it over the course of years. If you're looking at doing it, within days or weeks, then the only way to do it is like manipulate the market and try to wash it, through these permissionless channels while you are profiting on the other side. So I'm not trying to give crime advice, but that's a lot of money. Like, that's a whole lot of money, and yeah. And then what's interesting here is a solid intel gave the information that Bybit's treasury obviously had that 500,000 ETH in there, but now what's remaining of their treasury is Bitcoin and stable coins. So if they want to, get that ETH back, they would either have to sell their Bitcoin in their treasury, or they would have to sell stable coins and to buy that ETH back, for their customers. So if they are selling Bitcoin and buying ETH, then that definitely would be a strong way of showing that the ETH BTC ratio bottom is in. The price of ETH has been kind of all over the place as people have tried to digest this news. Initially, ETH was doing really well this morning. Let's actually move up to the hour candles. So if you have a look, like, ETH was actually going up to 2,800, and kind of climbing out of this low from a few weeks ago. When we had that huge spike down to what is that? Oh, to 2,600. Sorry, a few days ago. Let me look on the daily chart. Right, so we had the huge wick down, and it was slowly climbing back up towards the $3,000 mark, and it hasn't quite gotten there so far. But as soon as the news of the hack came in, then we got a huge dump. And then what happened after that was, we got a pump into this idea that, hey, they might have to buy back the ETH on the market. And then they were like, oh, we've got the ETH, and they went down. And right now, ETH is down about 4% on the day, which, when you think about it, is actually not that big amount of money, like losses, considering that, $1.5 billion worth has potentially come onto the market. I think that's just because a lot of people realize that there's not all that much you can do with this ETH. So, for example, if you swap it for Tether, they'll freeze it. If you swap it for Coinbase's USDC, they'll block it. If you swap it for wrapped Bitcoin, they'll block it. They can freeze that account. So a lot of these are ways of it's not going to be easy to sell. It's not going to be likely to sell. It might just be one of those things that you just end up seeing the ETH stuck there for weeks, months, years potentially, and just kind of waiting as like a sword of Damocles hanging over your head to see what's going to happen. But as crypto gets more and more centralized, that is going to, I think, be the impact of it is going to be more minimized. So, yeah. Okay, let's talk about Rocket Pool now. After talking about that for 15 minutes, here we have Fornax with an update for the smart node that is version 1.15.3, and this is employing important client updates for especially for those people who are running a Haleshki network as the Pectra fork approaches. That is scheduled for February 24th in 3 days' time. So if you are using if you're running, Rocket Pool on Haleshki, then this is pretty much a mandatory update for you. It has client updates to pretty much all the clients: Geth, Bisu, Nethermind, Prism, Teku, Lodestar, Nimbus, Lighthouse, Reth, and MEV Boost. And some of these are just for testnet. Others are for mainnet and testnet, but they all are pretty much fork ready, Pectra ready for the Haleshki hard fork, of course. So that's coming up in a few days' time. So update your clients. It might be that you will have to update your client one more time just to make sure that there's no last minute bugs or anything like that. But that's out now, and yeah, it's straightforward. Like you just install it using your smart node to update the software. But that's it. So if you are, especially if you're running a testnet, then update right away. Okay, next we got this post from Spartan, depressed bankrupt director, saying, I'm creating this thread to allow DAO members to ask questions about the forum post of our ETH bridging. And that's the one that we covered yesterday with the Ronin chain and Avalanche about their bridging and what they want to do. So people started asking questions about how it's going to work and what's going to happen here. There's not too many questions right now, but there are a couple of questions. So if you want to get information on that, if you want to take part in that discussion, then reply to, read the forum post and ask your questions here. Okay, there was a post that was made by Spartan on the forum, and this was about the tokenomics of RPL. And he says, he says, the topic of RPL's tokenomics has been extensively discussed on this forum and in our Discord channel. We all understand Rocket Pool has a serious problem. The DAO lacks the money necessary to sustain the ecosystem, and there's not enough or any value accrual to the RPL token. Without value accrual, you will not be able to grow and sustain that growth long term. Even if you do grow, the growth won't translate to token performance as desired. As one of the original ETH staking protocols, Rocket Pool has an early mover advantage, but risks losing all the ground gained without tangible action. Dr. Lufus has created a channel to discuss revenue streams for RPL. He says Alpha Growth is delivering on the growth side by actively setting up various types of deal flow for the RETH through Web3. With current design, Rocket Pool is not positioned to benefit from any of the deals and growth that it rightfully desires. No matter how many users come into the ecosystem, Rocket Pool will not monetize this utilization without serious overhaul. Alpha Growth can fundamentally alter Rocket Pool's monetization trajectory and help guide the protocol towards sustainable yield generation that benefits both the team and the users. This is a business that grows consumer pipelines but has no sales. Doesn't make sense. Better can be done, and there's supplementary materials. So this was like some tweet of someone giving Rocket Pool an F in terms of value accrual. But what's fundamentally missing here is that this was a tweet from September 2023, and the tokenomics rework started in late 2023. RPIPs came through in March, vote passing end of August, and the dev team is currently working on making Saturn a reality. Then there's the tokenomics rework pieces. And he says, I'm a little confused how you've been highly active in the community without this basic awareness. Or if you are aware, I'm confused why you'd pick supplementary material that talks about an obsolete state. And then he says, are Rocket Pool not positioned to benefit from the deals? He says, this is just not the case. Val responding saying, this is just not the case. A major point of the tokenomics rework is directly tying our ETH TVL to an ETH revenue stream for RPL, which makes it valuable. The protocol is funded by RPL inflation, so that's also a pretty direct pipeline. And then replying to the part that says Alpha Growth can fundamentally alter Rocket Pool's monetization trajectory, Val says, is there a concrete suggestion? Are you asking for funding or some kind of power before providing the guidance? I'd love for us to do better, so suggest a way if you have something concrete. This is the same thing I said within the thread that you linked. Wanting to do better is a great goal, but it doesn't mean much without a more realistic how. And then Dr. Doofus says part of the argument is that why we might be unlikely to get much TVL increase without the protocol being able to incentivize, bribe, or pay for integrations. Seems like this is the new paradigm, and that maximizing tokenomics yields for the stakers might not lead us to growth that we hope. I'm guessing we need more protocol fees one way or another to get us out of this slump. Spartan is saying alpha growth can help us use protocol fees wisely to get increase in our ETH mints, hence the reference to my Discord thread. And then Spartan says, Doofus is partly correct that alpha growth is proposing tokenomics rework for RPL to increase its value, though the X post is from 2023 is still relevant to understanding RPL's current state. However, the ongoing tokenomics rework by Rocket Pool focuses on RPL's relationship to node operators, not the broader ecosystem. To achieve proper price discovery and reduce sell pressure, RPL needs token velocity and depth. Think of RPL as a separate product that requires its own value proposition. While the DAO will continue to fund itself with RPL inflation, we need to create value for RPL to prevent its price from crashing. And then there's more points. It says our proposal aims to bring value to RPL, increase token velocity and depth, and ultimately help with price discovery and reduced sell pressure. Alpha Growth offers tokenomic audits and proposals to clients under our DeFi operations service. And I think, and then here this person was new to the community, and their first comment says, thanks for the alert, Spartan. Big problem if RPL token can't accrue value from its users. Sounds like the overhaul is needed. Thanks for bringing bringing attention to this. So that I'm not sure who that person is or what their context is for making that, but I want to focus on Val's comment especially, and I think Val is definitely right in saying that Saturn is going to change the game for Rocket Pool in terms of value accrual to the protocol and to RPL. And of course, as the protocol is funded through RPL inflation, even in the post-Saturn world, we'll be going down from 5% annual inflation to 1.5% annual inflation, with that money going to the PDAO and ODAO and not to node operators anymore after Saturn 2. The ETH revenue will be tied to the RPL value. So I totally agree with Val here in that, Spartans should know this and should be aware that this is the roadmap for RPL. What's interesting here is Doofus's point that even though we are going to set up this mechanisms for RPL to get value, we still want the protocol to grow, and the protocol won't grow as much as we want without there being some kind of partnerships, without there being yields for stakers. And I think that is partly true also, where we'll have to spend really wisely on incentives and spend more on incentives, and that should be able to get us to the point where we can help Rocket Pool grow as much as possible. But I think that Spartan might have a fundamental misunderstanding of what the Saturn 1 and 2 updates are going to do and how they're going to very deliberately bring value back to RPL. Okay, and we're going to finish this episode with some other news, and this other news today is from Brian Armstrong of Coinbase. He's the founder and CEO of Coinbase. So he says, after years of litigation, millions of your taxpayer dollars spent, and irreparable harm done to the country, we've reached an agreement with the SEC staff to dismiss their litigation against Coinbase. Once approved by the commission, which we're told to expect next week, we will be a full dismissal with $0 of fine paid and zero charges to our business. Zero changes to our business. So this was kind of expected with the new SEC coming through and their stances to these lawsuits coming through. So Coinbase, for those of you who don't know, were being charged by the previous SEC as being a service that sells unregistered securities, and in that lawsuit specific tokens were mentioned, like Solana and a bunch of other tokens, I think AVAX and others as well. And this was a court case brought by Gary Gensler and the anti-crypto army, pretty much. Well, that case now has just gone away, pretty much, and they're reaching a settlement, and there's going to be a dismissal of the case and no charges and zero fines to Coinbase, which is huge news for Coinbase, of course, but it's also really big news for the wider crypto community and crypto ecosystem. So here, Brian, you can read the whole thing, but Brian says, I knew a few truths that helped make it an easy decision to fight the court. He says the SEC was wrong on the law, craving to their demands would have killed crypto industry in America. It was the right thing to do for our customers and the industry as a whole. Yeah, he then basically just like spells out the whole information. So this was a really, really big deal. And yeah, this means that I think Robinhood will go the similar way. Kraken, who there was cases against, will probably go the similar way as well, with all these cases being dismissed. And the SEC kind of made clear guidelines that the only cases that are going to go forward are those that have clear fraud in them. So it looks like all these meme coin guys are going to be getting into a lot of trouble soon. But on that note, I'm going to end today's episode. So thank you all for watching, listening, and being part of the Rocket Fuel community. I hope you all have a lovely day ahead, and I'll see you all on Monday. Bye.